What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Geeks and Company. Hey guys, we're just a couple days out of London Comic Con. It was an amazing time. We have been very, very busy with con season. We've been doing a bunch of conventions. We've had a booth at the last two, which were 3 weeks apart. Listen, it was a bit hectic. I want to start by introducing this new little project that I'm working on right now, because one of the Geeks and Company family members is actually getting married in a couple weeks, and I wanted to give a bit of a this is something that I made for you guys type gift. Now, obviously, you can tell that I've got a couple lightsabers here. So they're rechargeable lightsabers. They've got the soundboard in them, flash on flash, the whole deal. But where my contribution really comes from is the display of the lightsabers, and that's why you see these boxes here. So I'm going to be building a Jedi lightsaber and box, and I'm going to be building a Sith lightsaber and box. Now, there are going to be some very big differences though. So let me run you through a bit of what I'm going to be doing over these next few weeks. First of all, if we start with the Jedi box, I've already started, testing out some wood burning stuff, and some stain. I am going to also paint some stuff on here. I'm going to paint the Jedi Order emblem on the top here, as well as on the inside. There's going to be some Arabic writing all around. It's going to be very specific and customized to these people. The inside of the box will be very basic, stain, a little bit of wood burning, some burlap. For the Jedi one, very basic, very down to earth, wooden box, a little bit of paint, something that Jedis would have no problem putting together on their own. Although this one's going to have a little bit of a customized message into it. This one, the Sith box, is going to be really the pièce de résistance. The box itself will be sanded, filled, smooth, so that it almost looks like glass, and it's going to be gloss black. And then I'm going to have a bunch of greeblies here that I printed. It probably doesn't want to focus on this, but I got a bunch of little greeblies here that I've printed that I'm going to be attaching to the box. I'm going to be chroming these out to make it look like it's meant to belong on a Star Destroyer. Now, the inside of the box is going to be red velvet for this one. So this one is going to be very, very perfect and nice and silky. The other one's going to be old and beat up and worthy of a Jedi. So that's going to be my little project over the next couple weeks. This is going to be a fun one, very quick little build for a Geeks Co family member. Let's get to building. So one of the first things we're going to do as we get started here is paint the Jedi Order logo, as well as some Arabic writing on the box. Now, I could, I suppose, do all this by hand, but why do this by hand when I've got a Cricut machine? So what I did here is I downloaded the Jedi Order logo, got a Arabic translator, got everything set up, loaded everything in my Cricut software, and now I'm letting the Cricut machine cut the stencils out for me. Now, these are all going to be perfect and nice. Once they're finally cut out, I'm going to wean them, and then I'm going to stick them to the box. One little trick here when you're weaning stencils, it's very important that you remove the actual letters and logos and leave the negative space open, versus when you're typically doing vinyl work. You would remove the outline, you would remove everything around or on the interior, but you would leave, what you want there. You would leave the logo there so that you could take that logo and stick it on something. Because we're doing a stencil here and we're doing the opposite, we're going to wean out the emblem, we're going to wean out the letters, we're going to leave the negative space exposed. We're then going to stick this all on our box, and then we'll get to painting it. All right, so a big time out here. We're actually a couple days later. I didn't show you the process of spraying the stencils. I put the stencils on, and then I sprayed them. And then once they were sprayed, I sanded them lightly, and then I stained the box. And this is what we got. So we've got, some nice designs on the box. Some Arabic writing. The Jedi Order logo. I hate that I'm looking at it now and it's not center. It's too low, but hey, it is what it is. I still have to put the logo on the inside, stain the inside of the box, and then do the foam piece and all that. But the exterior of this box itself is complete. Maybe we can look a little bit closer at the Arabic here. Again, I'm going to tell you guys what it all says. You can try to translate it if you want. You can find translators online everywhere. But Jamie and Caleb, you come and see me, I'll let you know what it says. Now, we're going to get started on the second box. The second box is going to be very, very different. As you can see, the hardware here is a brassy color. The box is going to look like an Imperial piece of tech, like it was meant to be on a Star Destroyer. So it's going to be gloss black. And I'm thinking the hinges either need to also be gloss black to be hidden within the box, or to be just metal, just like aluminum or brushed metal or whatever you want to call it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with these yet. I am going to take these off so that I can properly finish the box, because I am going to give it a nice high gloss. Where this box was very, very quick to make, this one's going to be substantially longer to put together. So that's where we're at. Let's keep going with this.
At this point, I'm going to take all the hardware off. As mentioned, I'm not sure if I'm going to reuse this specific hardware. I might paint it. I don't know. But I need to remove it regardless, because I need to sand this box as smooth as I can. So that's the first step. Get the hardware off, sand the box, and then we're going to do some filler. And then we're going to sand and filler and sand and fill and sand and fill. And we're going to do that until the box is nice and smooth. Now, once we're done this, we're going to start actually sanding all of our greeblies. That's right. All of our greeblies are 3D printed, which means that there's a lot of layer lines in all of them. So we need to sand all that back. And then just like the box, they're going to need to go through a process of filling and sanding and filling and sanding. So we're going to start with a 180 grip on all of these greebly, or I should say 3D printed parts, because they're not just greeblies. But we're going to start with a 180 grip. We're going to get all the high spots down. Once the high spots have all been sanded down, then we'll be able to move on over to the garage and start spraying some filler primer. Now, I'm not going to show you the steps of spraying, staining, painting, because it's all in the garage. It's very cold in there. It's very dusty. There's a lot of fumes, a lot of spray, paints, a lot of all sorts of stuff. I don't want to bring my camera in there, so I apologize ahead of time if you miss out on those steps.
Alright, so I've now sprayed all of my greeblies with some filler primer. I specifically use the Duplicolor filler primer. I don't know why I like it the most. There are a ton of different kinds out there. You use what works for you. That's the one that I use. So I'm going to keep sanding. There are some defects still in here. You know, believe me, there are a number of defects still in here. So I'm going to keep sanding and respray as I need. The little bits actually look pretty good. I'm not going to lie. The little bits are usually very, very hard because they're hard to sand and get into. But these actually look pretty damn solid. So I might just leave them as is. But I don't know. I am going to do some more sanding, some more spraying. So we might as well get going. Oh, I'm also going up in grit, by the way, guys. So I am going up now to 320. So I was sanding at 180 at the first time. Now I'm going up to 320. My final sand will be 600, but that won't be till I'm using my final sandable primer, not filler primer.
All right, a few little extra tips for you guys here. When you're doing finished sanding, you got to make sure you let the sandpaper do the work. Don't push too hard. Don't force it. It's easy to go overboard. Let the paper do the work. Also, don't be afraid to use files, nail files, metal files, anything that will help you get into those little nooks and crannies. Use what you have on hand.
So after a couple days of sanding, we're, well, in a few different spots, to be honest. The greeblies are basically done and ready to get the all-clad. So maybe if I turn this light over here, you can see how nice and shiny and smooth these black greebly parts are. So these are going to get chromed out basically with some all-clad 2 chrome. It's not actually going to be chrome, but it'll be metal looking. These will get the same finish, but I'm not quite at that spot yet. As you can see, I've got my first layer of sandable primer on this. So they're nice and smooth now. They're full of fingerprints, but hey, you know what? They're still nice and smooth, but I want them a little bit smoother, so I am going to sand these down to 600. And then I'm going to do a coat of gloss black. So we will be at that for these parts. So the next thing you're going to see here is me spraying these with some Altlad 2 Chrome. It's a lacquer paint. It dries very, very quick. If you get it on right, the look is ridiculous. As far as a pure metallic look, I've never seen anything like this Altlad 2. So we're going to do that to this stuff. The box itself just got its final coat of black paint. After that, it's going to get a couple coats of hide gloss clear because we want it really nice and shiny before you stick any of these things on. And then basically it'll just be assembling.
When painting anything, prep work is key. Now, that goes for your work surface just as much as the part you're trying to paint. Make sure you're ready to go before you start laying down that paint.
Guys, don't spill your expensive paint everywhere. Don't be an idiot like me.
The first thing I'm going to do here is test my paint to make sure that it's going to stick to this black. I have had issues before where the lacquer didn't want to dry, so we're going to test the finish first. Now, when you're painting anything metallic, anything chrome, you want to make sure that you use a gloss black base. Very, very important. That's what's going to give you that ultimate shine. In the case of this Altlad, you're going to notice that I'm not actually doing full coverage. I'm leaving a little bit of that black to come through to give us that high metallic look.
All right, guys, we're gonna move on to a very, very light coat of aqua gloss, gloss clear. This is also a product by Altlad, and it's a lacquer clear, so it's meant to work with this. The problem people have when trying to replicate a chrome look is the minute they clear it, it loses that chrome look. It loses that shine. This is made to maintain that as much as possible. So, you know, it's lost a little bit of its shine, but at least now it's protected, which means that now I can manipulate it. See, one of the big problems with these chrome paints is that if you don't clear them, when you manipulate them, the oils on your hand rub off the metallic and then they just become gray. This way, it's not going to go gray. It's going to stay metallic, or at least as much as it is now. We're going to keep chugging along. Hopefully, once the black box is done, we can start assembling. All right, so there's a little bit going on here. The box itself is basically done. I'm not 100% happy with it. I don't know how well you're gonna see it on camera, but it's still a little scratchy. All the greeblies are done and glued on. As you saw in the other little clip, I've got the little blue LED in here. I don't know if you can really see it. There you go, you can get a look at it there. There's a blue LED in there. As I mentioned, it's not gonna light up, but it looks cool. It looks like there's an LED there. The emblems are on the inside as well. Now, the inside of the box is not done. I'm working on that next. But I did paint all the little hinges black to match with the box. I didn't have a chain for this one specifically. So what I did is I took the same chain that I used for the Jedi box, the gold chain, and I just painted it silver. And it came out really nice. Looks really good. I mean, it looks like it was meant to be. So there you go. So I got my chain, I got my little hinges. So I'm going to assemble the box now so that it's assembled. So let's get these hinges all set up back on here and put this box back together.
In audio.
were not imagining things. That's right, we have moved to my kitchen. Now, as you can see, I'm using floral foam that I got at Michael's for the inside of the boxes. And yes, those are cookie cutters. I was looking for a way to make a nice indent, a nice perfect indent in the shape and size of the lightsaber. I came up with cookie cutters. Yeah, that's right. That was the closest thing that I could find that would give me that perfect circumference. Now, I bought these floral foam blocks, I guess you want to call them, from Michael's, spray glued them together, and then I'm going to cut them with this cookie cutter. You're going to see a problem that I'm having here is, although the cookie cutter cuts through the foam very well, once it gets to the line where there's spray glue, that's become hard. So that is offering resistance, and that's screwing up the cut. So what I'm going to have to do at the end here is I am going to have to sand it all nice and smooth to make sure that it looks good before we wrap it all in silk and burlap.
So this is the Jedi box. It's going to come like this. It's nicely wrapped. It's got some nice leather strapping here. So let's undo this so you can actually see what the inside of the box looks like. And when you open it, you get the box. And when you open the box, so you got your nice lightsaber in here, your charging cable, your little Allen key for your set screws for your blade, you know, with a nice burlap interior because it's nice and rustic how the Jedi would have it. Some nice little chain so the cover can hold up and it can be displayed standing up. So that is the Jedi lightsaber. All right, everybody, look, this is moving along quite quickly now. I'll be honest, I thought I was going to take you with me for a couple of these steps, but man, I'm just flying through this. So here you go. Here's the inside of the box. So you saw me cut the foam. Then all I did was cut it down to shape, spray glued it, wrapped it in silk, which, you know, doesn't quite have the effect that I was hoping for, but hey, I mean, it's all right. I made a little indent here for the little Allen key that goes with the lightsaber. So yeah, all that's left to do is put the little chains to hold this box top up and to put the lightsaber in there, and then we're done this project.
Here they are, finished boxes. Whether you're a Sith or a Jedi, you're sure to enjoy these display boxes for your own lightsaber. Now, I really enjoyed this project. It only took me a couple of weeks. It was a really good time. I did struggle a little bit with the Sith box. Like I said earlier, I'm not 100% happy with the scratch finish, but it does add to that old box look. I hope you enjoyed following along with me. Leave me a comment below to let me know what you think. But that'll be it for this time. Stay geeky, everybody. We'll see you next time.